Everybody, good morning. Lieutenant Colonel Goose in the house. David A. Logan, Hugh, Jerry, Sergio, Ivan, Lieutenant Colonel, Diane, Mad, Don, Rob, Donald, David, we'll see. As well, robots. It's funny enough. Robots are their main source. Like cars, everybody thinks they're cars, but they're robots. And I was talking about this on the profit panel yesterday. And welcome Terry, Captain Slidge, Craig, Will, Aki, Cliff, Svenborn, Scott, Ted, Andrew, and my channel subscribers like Larry, Gilbert, Catherine, Ted, Jim, S. Kohler. Welcome everybody. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get lucky and the AI pumps out an awesome looking graphic. That Tesla graphic was pretty cool. General Rush, good to see you, sir. As always. So, Tesla. I guess before we talk any trades whatsoever, all trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instrument. If you desire personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor. Flipping back over. Now, what does that mean? It means don't trade stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. You might lose money if you trade them. It's part of trading. You might lose money. Move my monster off the screen there. There we go. I've been drinking peach all week. I opened a case of like a 6-pack of peach, and my dad bought a bunch of flats at Ollie's. He thought they were a great deal. He's like, "I got you some monsters." I was like, "Dude, I usually buy the variety pack, so I don't drink the same thing every day." Anyway. Hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber, checking in from Amarillo. Heading to New Mexico. Gonna go see Carlsbad Caverns, I think is what the plan is. Hey, everybody. And so, Tesla earning. And, all right. Tesla, car company. Not a car company. Pretty much every car they've produced that's out on the road that has any kind of self-driving capability, that's a robot. All right? It's a robot. Now, big picture. Not just Tesla. We're looking at the variety of companies that Elon has going and what the plan is. So they are hot and heavy on releasing Grok 4 into the cars. And it's not going to run on all the cars to begin with. It's just going to run on the newest ones. But what that does, it gives vision and audio and capability to test the physical world to this AI. This is like, it's not sci-fi stuff. It's not like me wishing and dreaming. This is like what's happening. They're going to deploy, and they're in the second version testing right now. I actually have, well, I don't have it where I can pull it up on here. I can watch the deployments to a smaller selection of cars because I have this piece of third-party software that tracks it. And I can watch the deployments into a smaller subsection. And right now they keep testing a new version of this Grok-enabled AI software update to the cars. Now, they're going to deploy it. That's going to let Grok have access to millions of cars. It can have vision all over the place. It's like, what's the weather in XYZ? It just looks at whatever car, looks at the cameras, and it can see the weather. It can look at the temperatures on the car. It's crazy. It can, and beyond weather, it can see traffic conditions. It can see all sorts of things across millions of cars. Now, all of a sudden, this thing has a real world kind of grasp out into the real world that feeds it back to the mothership. That's for XAI. Now, what does he need to be able to have these deployed worldwide? He need internet connectivity to come back to the mothership. So you look at what SpaceX is doing. Everybody thinks that Starlink is democracy, internet for everybody, blah blah blah. Really, it's internet for the worldwide, so they can deploy cars and these AI worldwide. Now they're looking at the humanoid robots, this Optimus robot that they've been working on. If you don't know about it, Google it. They're working on a humanoid robot at Tesla in order to deploy that worldwide and it be able to do anything, anywhere it needs internet, worldwide internet, back to Starlink. So he's building the network to support the robots. The robots, at this point, cars, and then soon to be humanoid robots. So this is like a much bigger plan, and any one company failing doesn't destroy the whole plan. He's spread it out so that any one company falling through, they can recover, and it'll be a hit. And it's not like it's not a hit, but this deployment is it's kind of walled off from each other. They're collaborating, but at the same time, this is an interesting thing. So you can let me know what you think in the comments and stuff in the chat. But it's a bigger plan than anybody's got the vision for. I think I've seen this coming for a little while. As David A. started out saying, this is about robots, and absolute it's just an evolutionary thing. The 3rd gen Starlinks are getting ready to be launched. They can't launch them until they get Starship going. Starship they need Starship to actually launch to be able to launch these 3rd generation Starlink satellites that are as big as 747s or 737s. Excuse me, 737s. They're as big as 737s, and they'll up the network speed to terabit speed. So that all of a sudden, now, why are they working with T-Mobile to deploy direct to cell? Because all of a sudden, all their cars that have cell phone modems in it can talk to the satellites without having to upgrade the equipment or do anything special or have Starlink minis. Direct to cell is the solution. then it's just a commodity cell phone modem, and can talk to the network. So this is it's a bigger plan than anybody's really talking about. I just sit here and watch in amazement at all the pieces coming together, and it's going to be interesting. I feel like it's going to be interesting. They're deploying 2 new models of cars out in China, an extended version Y. It's like a longer Model Y that has a 3rd row in it. It's like 7 inches longer, something like that. And then they're also deploying they call it a 3 Plus that has a 500 plus mile range. So no, this is me putting pieces together. This is not me reading a white paper or anything like that. I'm just sitting here collecting information, watching the tweets, watching this is me putting together all the pieces that I see where the end game is, and I see the pattern. I've watched what Elon said for years, and he talks about needing this, needing that, but he doesn't say why he needs it. This is me putting together the pieces, like why we need this is to have global humanoid robot deployment, and they're looking at an aggressive rollout. They're planning on having by the 2030s. I had some AI do projections, and we could have worldwide deployment, exceeding the population of the U.S. by like 2035 of humanoid robots. If that's not just Tesla, that's other companies that are trying to roll these out too. They're all going to need internet connectivity, and who has worldwide internet connectivity? The only one that's functional, Starlink right now. There's, Amazon's trying to build this out, but Amazon's trying to compete too. They actually are building their own. Amazon started their own satellite production facility. It's not just Blue Origin. It's actually an Amazon satellite facility. So, Bezos trying to compete in the same realm. So it's not just Tesla. And these are interesting developments coming down the pipe. Now, Tesla has earnings. Right now, they only have a few products. They have cars, they have energy products. They don't have humanoid robots yet. They don't have the next killer thing. Cars are the big thing that they sell. They sell some solar panels, they sell some power walls, they sell some power solutions. They sell supercharging, but the cars are kind of the basis of all of that right now. And we had disappointing numbers, but they weren't as bad when we released that at the beginning of the month. They weren't as bad as all the projections. Actually made more cars. Rallying higher. Now, I've talked about the fact that maybe if we rally into earnings, we might drop. That's just from a standpoint, standard. We've got this watermelon seed squeeze. It's just a standard kind of reaction thing. Now, why do I say the standard reaction thing? Well, we've kind of tracked this. We've talked about it every earnings for the last little while for Tesla. And I had this up and I clicked it. Oh, there it is. All right. So for the last, all the way back to 2015. So the last 10 years, I've been tracking, I didn't track it the whole time. I've pulled the earnings all the way back there, looked at it. Did they miss, beat, up, down, all that sort of stuff? 70% of the time. Well, now it's 69.1% of the time we drop on earnings. It's down on earnings. The reaction is down 69.1% of the time. So basically 70% of the time we drop over the last 10 years. Now the average drop, average move down during those, 70% of the time we drop over the last 10 years. So we're looking at basically 40 earnings calls. 70% of those, we move down about 14.6%. So 14.6, that would put us right around 280. I've been saying support, I feel like, is at 270, 265 to 270. I've said that a lot. On our other graph here, I talk about every morning. I've got an alert at 273. I went clean slate today just to kind of clean this up and talk about it. Now, if this is the watermelon seed squeeze and we started with the hit right here, A, B, C, D, E, this would be kind of the finality move, typically. And we might break down. Now, maybe this was the entry move. This is the 0 point, and this is A, B, C, D, E, and we come down, find support at the bottom, shy of the typical drop, and then we go shooting out. So either way, that's a drop on earnings. Drop down here, or if this is the final move, and we're going to continue down to some lower move, possibly that 270 support. That would be an potential A, B, C down. Of course, it looks like an A, B, C, D, E. Which way? I don't know. This is a nested pattern. Lower highs, higher lows. Kind of a coin flip. Up or down. Now, sitting at the top of this watermelon seed squeeze, down is more likely than anything else. All right. That's number one. First thing first, I've thought that if we rallied into earnings, we might experience a drop just because we're in this correction. First move down potential. Maybe, forget the diagonal thing. Forget the triangle. Now, triangles are always B waves. So that would be an A wave, a B wave of some sort, and potential for C wave. So it looks better if this was an A, B, C, D, and we pull down here, E, and then we go shooting off, and this was an A, B, C, but then that's not so good either. This is a B wave of some sort. I just don't know how it fits in here because this part doesn't fit with that triangle. Anyway, if we have first move down, maybe this was A. This is A, B, C, D, E, and we have another little bounce in here. It's possible, like anything's possible. So Control C, Control V, whoops, undo. Trying to copy that. C, Control V. If we bounce it off of, if this was the A wave and this is some sort of C, that 270, 260, 270 area. If this is like a, gets more complicated, right? And then, as I've talked about for a long time, if this is more like the rest of the Mag 7, that's the first move down. This is the retrace, and now we're working on setting up the next move down. It could push us all the way down here, right there. Now, there's the market open. Looking at options values. What does the market actually expect? Where the market maker's pricing in? I went through this a bit on 30 MA last night. You've got to come in here at the money. We're not getting the pricing at the moment. Love it. See if it'll throw me a bone here. Give me some pricing. Flip back to the daily. Roll back down. Cool. Gonna be devoid of option prices. Well, we can pull up a live brokerage count. Give me 1 second. Just do that. We'll get some live prices. Always a backup plan. Sweet. Logged right in without having to do this stupid SMS code thing. Wow. Bunch of stuff firing off alert-wise. Alrighty. Nobody really cares about this account, but line it up. TSLA. Put it onto ID. There we go. Options prices in. I guess, oh cool, it expanded those back out. There we go. All right, this is just a small account that rolled over from other places. See, it's not huge. Just got a little 11 grand here. And cool delayed prices here too. Wonder why we're not getting any prices. Yeah, that's sweet. Freaking love it. Delayed data. All right, let's try third time's the try, maybe. Try another account. Populate. Golly. Try one more thing. It's probably gonna have to update that software. Gosh, love it. Yep, there it goes. Let's see the updater. Upgrade successful. Cool. Let's see if I remember that password. I've got it like saved on the other computer. And can we log in? Bear with me. Trying to get it. Going into Tasty Trade because I know I can get live prices there. There we go. And let's see what we're cooking with. So, July 25th. This is the next expiration after earnings. Here we are sitting right here at the money. So we take the bid side on the at the monies. We're hanging out right at 330, so this works pretty well. 1180. You know, it's going to bounce around. Bid side, both sides. Sell both sides. So you sell a straddle at the money. 330. So 1190, 1150. Just go with those numbers. Maybe it'll update on here. Grab my pencil. 1190 plus 1150. That is 14, 3, 2340 is the expected move. That's 2340 up and 2340 down. It's pretty spicy. Pretty spicy. So we go look at this. Right there, 2340 up. It's not a huge move, 2340. Right in there. And then we go down, same amount. Right in, pretty close. Close counts, close enough. So here's our range. By expiration this Friday, which is just right there. That's the roadmap line on the bottom and just slightly out of the top, but not above that high. And that's interesting how this plays out right there. Roadmap line support and prior high resistance. That's what the market makers are pricing in for the options for this week in the range. So maybe it does nothing. Now, earnings reports are 50% what we did do, 50% what we're going to do. So a lot of times Elon, when he talks, he gets a little too whimsical on the forward plans, and that kind of ruins people's expectations, I think, is the best way to put that. So people are hopeful, and then he talks about all these, big grandiose plans in the future, and people get a little disheartened with that, and then we tend to sell off 70% of the time. So there you go. That's kind of the earnings preview. Ways to play it. I'm long. I do expect long. If you wanted to maybe play it a little bit safe, consider something down here at the $10 strike area. If you're going to sell a put on something leveraged, TSLA. If you wanted to buy shares and you were like, I want to get long, there you go. You could just buy shares. We were on the profit panel yesterday. Jack Carter, he was like, if you're bullish, here's my play. I love to come in right before the market closes, just a few minutes before the market closes, and pick up some shares. And then right as the market closes, I'll put on, right after the market closes, I'll put on an extended hours order to sell for whatever I think the target is. He's like, because when we get these crazy volatile moves, there's no market makers playing in the after hours market, and whatever the price is, and you get filled, especially if you do a market order. So if the price spikes, you're sitting there, you're the one that's got the sell order at that level. You'll get filled, sell your shares, and then it can do whatever other volatility move it wants to. I mean, that was Jack, as a former market maker, it was an interesting, I never even thought of doing that before. Honestly, it's just beyond my comprehension of how you would play an earnings announcement like that. And he said, to do that, though, you would need a stronger conviction. And he said, you can protect it with a put. And you can buy your shares, buy your block of shares, protect it with a put, just in case it all flushed down. He's like, then you would want to get out of your put the next day, especially if you sold your shares. So, all right. So I asked how I was able to see the best option trading price would be beforehand. I see that you could do the same thing if you look at your intrinsic plus time value and add them together. So there you go. Kind of expected move. Now it can get more complicated, right? That's just selling the at the money straddle. That's the expected move up here, down here. What did I do? I sold 380s against the shares I have. So I'm up here. That's a $51 upside because 380 from 330. Well, it was 330. Now we're spiking a little bit. 330, 380. That was $50 upside. I got paid $1 to sell those 380s. So that's 51. $50 move plus $1. Cha-ching. I'll be pretty happy with that. Right there. I have, so, not sugarcoating anything. I have about 10,000 shares of this. I've been selling upside calls, been selling puts and acquiring more on dips. So right there. Now, if you want to play the downside, TSLQ, buy some of this. Just buy some shares. Now we're expecting, this is where you got to look at the numbers. That's a 7% downside, 7% upside. If you're going to play the leverage, TSLQ, it's a 2x short. So that'd be 7%, that'd be 14% potential pop. Looking at a move from The expected drop, we're looking at from 16 to 18. So if you could get out of these even in the after hours market. Now, if we got the general expected move, 14 point, pull that back up. Don't misspeak. 14.6% move. So that'd be a 28%. 29%, really. So that'd be a move from 16 to 20 on the 2x leverage. And if you're like 2x leverage is a little too spicy for me, you can just go TSLS and get a 1x leverage. Potentially catch the 7 to 14% downside on a 1x. So 7% puts you right up to about $8. Not a huge move, 50 cents. And the average 14.6% move. Right in there, about $1 move. Not bad. So in at 750, out at 850. Right there's your potential. If you want to play bearish and want to be able to get out after hours, there you go. You can play these. You can get filled after hours. If you didn't know, play options. Don't play options on these. So that's TSLS for 1x leverage and TSLQ for 2x leverage. If you're bearish, if you think it's all going to be horrible news and disappointing and worse than anybody thought, buy a few shares of this. Control your risk pretty tight. $16 a share. I'm not getting rich on that. Oh, welcome to the show. But that's much cheaper than jumping into Tesla's options with a put. Got the prices yet? Prices yet? Still no. Yep. There we go. So even the at the money puts, not showing prices again. What the heck? I still got the other up. So if you're gonna buy at the money put, you're gonna be paying like $1,100 for one. You could play TSLQ. And this does have options, but I don't recommend it. Play this. You can buy 100 shares, 2x leverage. 100 shares is $1,600. $1,600. 10 shares, $160. 100 shares, $1,600. Not necessarily cheaper to play for 100 shares, but if it doesn't move, this doesn't move. This is the advantage of playing shares here. If Tesla stays flat, this stays flat. If Tesla stays flat here, this goes to 0. We're darn near close to it. The IV is going to evaporate right here. 103% IV priced in here. That's the big difference between your risk. Now, if we pop, this is going to drop. And this will drop out at a 2x leverage. If we pop, and same thing happens on the options. If we pop on options value is going to plummet too. All right, moving on. Guess what broke out? Another reason I'm bullish. NKD, global liquidity, pushing out. Funny how Bitcoin led that move, right? Bitcoin popped. Here we are about, 2 weeks later. Now we have global liquidity popping again. Global liquidity tends to run ahead of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's move was probably this, maybe. Now this leading again. We do have the all-time high to contend with right over here. Get through that upside, baby. SPX coming in, hunting for that target, 63.65. I'm cautious that we get a reaction when we tag it. May take us back down to retest the breakout. We haven't really retested the breakout since we did it. I'm talking about the breakout from back in February. All these highs we had early in the year, we haven't really retested that at all from the top. Highly, highly, highly expect that to happen. Just a standard market thing. If we can hold on to that breakout, take it on higher, possibly up here, 65, 6,600. We'll have to see what the next pullback does. Now, there is risk that we don't hold the breakout and we come all the way down here after we hit that target. Still believe on the upside. Still thinking we're going up. All the small time frames pushing higher. This one just coming up. I mean, look at that. Just a few ticks away from tagging that target right there. And this target's a little loftier because ES tends to run higher. It's kind of like options contracts. Futures contracts run higher and they erode. If you've not seen me do this before, minus SPX. Back to the daily. Turn it off log mode. So futures contracts are generally out 3 months. As we come down to the expiration of the contract, we run it towards 0, and then we open up and go to the new contract. And lately we've been about $60, and we bleed that off toward expiration where we go to 0. That's why there's a difference in the futures. It's kind of like options contracts. It's just futures contracts. It's the price in the future. As we get closer to the expiration of the futures contract, the difference between the cash index and the future comes to 0. And you can say like, well, that creates distortions in your pricing on ES, but yes and no. It does and it doesn't. Over the long term, it just all seems to work out. So anyway, moving on. In Q, already hitting the target. Be careful. We got up to it. This could start a bigger retrace. Could retest these 2 highs from back in December and February. We didn't even slow down there hardly. We came up near it, shot right through. I do highly, highly, highly expect a retest of this area. That'll tell us what comes next. Maybe a pop even higher or a correction even bigger. Russell not grinding through. Look at this. We were, the high way up here. Small caps not participating. ES, all-time highs. NQ, all-time highs. Russell, way down from all-time highs. Maybe we see a bigger correction here. This is a canary in the coal mine for me. It's a cautionary flag. We're not even pushing higher. We're not even trying to break out. Caution. CL. I got a little bearish on this yesterday because this is grinding. We ground on the upside resistance. Now we're grinding on the support. We break through that support, I think we're coming on down. New lower low around 50 on oil. So I got short-term bearish. Looking for that pop down right there. What I play, I put it out there for Supercharge Alerts members. Look at a gold here. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times we've hit this resistance level. That's lower highs than this one right over here. Usually we do something like this before we get a bigger correction here. So be careful. We might dip it and rip it right back pretty fast. It may be a fast reaction. That's a big move on gold, but it's entirely possible that might be what happens. Getting a little bearish today. Again, as long as we're lower than these 2 highs, I'm not very convinced we're going to break out and go higher. I mentioned that last week the gold trade may play out because we could push it higher and make a lower high and still be somewhat bearish, and that's exactly what happened. We still have this potential to go down. This is still a lower high from right over here to right down here. Still lower high. It did push the limits. We've seen the market pushing the limits all over the place on the downside and the upside. I can still come down. First move, second move, third move, fourth move, fifth move. Finish it up. And we'll see what happens. Still thinking gold set up for a correction. Bitcoin index, BTC. Let's pull up the cash index. Look at that. What goes up yesterday came right back down. This thing is just grinding up any kind of leverage. And funny enough, I got an email from a brokerage account. I don't even know where they are. Somewhere in the world, not in the United States. They were wanting me to partner with them. And they were like, yeah, we want you to shill our accounts to your members, get them hyped up. We're going to offer them 100x leverage on Bitcoin if they join. You can use a VPN to connect. There's no KYC. I was like, red flag, red flag, red flag. They're going to give you 100x leverage on Bitcoin. So if you had $1,000, you could trade 100. You could trade a whole Bitcoin basically. And I was like, Jesus, that sounds like a nightmarish situation. And yeah, they were like, yeah, we'll pay you 50% of all the commissions that your traders earn. I was like, this sounds dangerous. Dangerous for you or anybody trading. 100x leverage is dangerous, but that's out there. And they'll open you an account with no KYC. Dangerous. I just don't get into stuff like that. Like the rules are in place for a reason. You can play options on Bitcoin now, but that's just churning up anybody that got long leverage yesterday, taking it right back down to the bottom. Now it's kind of invalidating the higher low situation. So this may make a lower low than that low we had right there before we can go higher again. Ethereum taking a breather. This probably needs to do a correction back down in here, back maybe to 3,000 before we can take that final move up. NKD we already hit. Dollar. Ooh, ugly. Ugly. All right. Here's the low. Here's the high. Sitting right on the 618. Right there. If we can hold it, roadmap line, upside. If we get down below the 76, probably coming down for a new lower low. Simple as that right now. Right here. Apple still grinding. Earnings coming up next week. This is a big setup for another downward push on Apple. I would be very careful. This is kind of like Russell to me. We're sitting here way off the all-time high, coming into where ES is overcooked, NQ is overcooked, and everything that's sitting here at way lower highs has the potential for an outperformance to the downside. First move down, second move down. So Apple's got that pattern. Amazon's got that pattern. Google's got that pattern. Meta kind of has that pattern, although it came back up to the highs, but it's not sitting at all-time highs. Microsoft, on the other hand, may just retest the breakout, similar to ES and S and NQ, similar to S&P and NASDAQ. We may just retest the breakout here and then go higher on the next rally. Same with NVIDIA. We may come back, retest the breakout. That was a 1, 2, 3 breakouts. We actually did retest it briefly right there. Next upside here, 191. Tesla. We kind of tacked up at this ad nauseum, but we had that. We're still way below all-time high. First move down, second move down potential. Sitting here on this chart. It's not lost on me. And we may take a bigger spill. Netflix coming back down pretty hard. Gunning for that roadmap line. Then we're coming back. We're due. We haven't been down there since April. And before that, it was a long time. Back here in last summer, August. All right. I go pull gainers. Everything moving $2 more up. We hunt for opportunities. $2 more down. Hunt for opportunities. Then at the end, I have a list of things that triggered actual entries, so hang around for that. And then we'll wrap up the day with my expectation, where I think we're heading, or at least, you know, what I'm kind of planning for the rest of the day. So, it's a bummer, Ryan. I know, people get scammed. So, yeah, KYC is know your customer, just in case anybody didn't know. Anyway, there you go. All right, moving on. You have to own the stock to sell puts. No, that's the beauty. I skipped that question. That's the beauty of what I've been doing here. You have to have the cash in your account to sell the puts. So like this one right here. I have to have cash to cover buying 1,200 shares. All right, one contract is 100 shares. 12 contracts, that's 1,200 shares. This thing was, the contract price, $18.50. So I didn't have enough. The way Robinhood works, I didn't have enough cash to buy 1,200 shares at $18.50. Minus the credit I took in, which was basically 50 cents. So 1,200 times 18. All right. Maybe like, whew, that's spicy. Yeah. I'm doing 5 positions in my account, spread out the risk. And so far, it's working out pretty good. So far, I've got a system. We got put Rocket Lab shares, booked them out, wrote them up. In case anybody's missed this conversation, I was selling puts right here. On that dip, I got put the shares. And then we wrote it up, and I sold them out at 41, even though it was up here. Now you'd be like, well, you missed out on all this. I don't care. Made plenty of good money. And I'm moving on. BJT put out the video. If you didn't see the video on the channel, go watch the video. I expect this to pop. I've been selling puts like crazy. Started selling puts on this back here. Actually got put some shares in one of my accounts. Not the 50K account. I haven't got put shares in the 50K account yet. Oh, maybe I did once. I don't remember. Anyway. Looking for this to pop. As far as reports, positions. You see Rocket Lab and DJT and Celsius. I've been hitting those pretty hard. Delta Airlines, Merck, Docu. SPXS was from a long time ago. You can see, big winner, Rocket Lab. Made 12 grand. Getting put shares. Very nice. DJT right here. 1,400 bucks so far. Just trading the churn. That's pretty good. Some stuff smaller. Delta, been hitting that one. 1,500 bucks. Docu, been hitting that one. Made 1,000 bucks so far. Celsius, 800 bucks in this count. United Airlines made 650. Merck made 600 so far. Nike made 300. Reddit made 288. Even traded Google in here. So, been hitting some of these harder than others. If you want to see the open orders, channel members, that's posted for you. If you want to see every twist and turn and get every update I do in this account, that's what Termite Trading Lab is. Links in the description if you want to come join me there. It is expensive to join Termite Trading Lab, but as everybody in the chat will tell you, it's worth it. Worth it, baby. So, back to hunting for gainers. ABVX, crazy pop. Biotech Pharma, I wouldn't touch that. GE Veranova. Dang. Rocket ship. Maybe going to 700. 696. No pullbacks, so I haven't gotten involved in that, but that's absolute wild. I guess breaking up that company was a smart decision. All the pieces seem to be rocking and rolling. after they broke that up. Man H. That looks bearish, despite the pop. TLN. Crushing it targets. I wouldn't touch that. Then we get a pullback. TMO. Looks bearish. Toyota Motors. Has potential for a measured bounce. Oh, and the pop today. Holy moly. Look at that. Went from here to here. Holy Nikes. That's a $20 pop. So that's a potential sign that the measured bounce is going to keep going. How high? I don't even have it drawn. There's the high. Here's the low. There's the high. Here's the low. So we're looking for this to continue to here. Then we would expect a pullback. Then a rally back to probably the all-time high. That would be the measured bounce play right there. I didn't have Toyota on the potentially bullish list. These are potentially bullish. These are the ones I'm keeping my eye on for selling puts. Back to it. Vicar, Vicor, whatever. Nasty. I don't like that. I don't like that descending. This is like descending bubble patterns. We see that like on GME. Just keeps eroding shareholder value. CEG. Yeah, some companies try to provide value, maximum value to companies, long-term value. Some companies just like to screw everybody. And that's when I see charts like this. Usually when the stock pops, we get a dilution. They sell shares. That's just screwing shareholder value when they do dilution on a pop. That's not taking care of your shareholders. That's just screwing everybody. Trying to get as much more. That's just greed. That's a chart of greed. And that's what we see on this chart right here. It's a chart of greed. Every time we're popping, slamming it back down. CEG. 379 upside. ASML. That took a big hit. Came down. Look at that. Look at where I predicted it would go to. I'll be dang. Anybody surprised? When did I draw those arrows? Back in May, I think it was. Maybe even back here. Early May. I drew these arrows right here. I expect this to hold this area and turn higher. That's a little rich for my blood to play that right now. Co-op. Dang. Mr. Koopa. It's going exponential. You know what happens next. They can't go straight up without coming back down. It's just the way this works. VST. 215 upside. LEU. That's a straight up. Be careful. It's got to come back down. Maybe back to 150, 160. TEL. To downtrend. Popping in the roadmap line. Still lower highs. I need some higher lows and retraces before I get involved. Amphenol. Crushing it right up to the 272. Be careful. It's going a little exponential for me. Can it go higher? Sure. Next upside target, 115. 138 above that. QBTX. Be careful. I'm not big on quantum computing at this point. COF. Watch for that. Come back down. Calm. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So here's the high, here's the low. There was the pop right into resistance. 126, 138, next upside. May take a retest real quick before we can pop on up. Energy. 177. Watch out for that to retrace back down to the roadmap line. PAPL. Pineapple. Ridiculous. Reverse split. Not bullish. That's danger. Dumpster fire danger. Dumpster fire danger. App loving has that first move down. A absolutely beautiful correction setup. 102 on the downside. If we can hold the roadmap test, break higher, be up here to 570. That's a wide range right there. 100 to 500. Whew, a little rich for my blood. LMT broke down below the trend line. If this comes back up and tests that trend line and then turns down, that's going down, 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 down. We saw this on home builders back a few months ago. Broke down below the trend line, came back, tested, and then went down, down, down. And now I'm not convinced this is it. I think there's a retrace before we go on down further. First move down, retrace, next move down. I got multiple clients reporting that housing sucks, construction sucks. They're concerned about keeping people employed. So, yeah, it's just here in Knoxville, but I see the same sort of things being talked about all over the place. So, other business I do is an engineering business, engineering design business, construction for multitude of clients, home builders, commercial. A lot of people are really concerned right now. Things aren't looking too hot in construction. That usually means a recession is just around the corner. We usually see construction get really weak and then recession start. Actually, recession probably starts as construction gets weak, and then we don't admit it until everything comes apart. General dynamics, resistance here. If we can go higher, 326. If we reject off that breakout, back down the roadmap line, and then come on up would be my expectation. Rocket Lab, it's the 2x leverage on Rocket Lab, and that's way more expensive than just buying Rocket Lab. LW, up to the roadmap line. Last time we did that, we ground around here and then dropped out. So needs to pop up, hold supports, and turn higher for me to believe that that's the bottom in place. There's lots to talk about today. PRG. Watch for that to go down further. TMDX. First move down, retrace. Held in the zone here. I would expect this to drop down further. Now, if we can hold the roadmap line, break back through this high, there's the upside. So this looks like a giant first move down, retrace the 618. If we push on down, going lower. If we can hold here, break back above here, that's the upside target area. HMC, Honda Motor Company, just grinding in here, popping whatever news there is out there. I don't really care. Oh, it's the Japan trade deal. Tariff popping. Honda and Toyota. Probably popping Subaru too. Yeah, I don't really care. Short-term pop, be careful. You're already watching it. BA. Probably coming back down to the roadmap line here eventually. Support all the way down at 160. It's been a crazy pop. I guess 170 now. Watch for that retrace. If we retrace that and hold it, that sets us up for the bigger move to 600. DPST. 3X Banks, regional. Watch for that to pop. I saw more regional banks reporting earnings, like First Horizon. It's a local bank. CSGP. Popping on up, 91 upside. ALB. Go, chart go. There we go. Grinding this resistance, busting up through the gap. That's positive for getting a move on up to 161 on ALAB. EWJ, Japan, rallying on trade deal. SMU, SMR. 2x long ASTS. What the fudge is this? What the heck? What are they even doing? Okay, it has nothing to do with ASTS. Just 2x new. All right, 2x SMR has nothing to do with ASTS. Somebody messed up. Crazy. So if you believe SMR is going up, I'd watch for the retrace back to 35. I'd be more interested at 35 than I am right here. Come back in here, and then we could trade the upside. Or even get down to the roadmap line. Hey, that was on the list way down here. And core weave. Be careful, we flew close to the sun, melting the wings. People are telling me, oh, I'm super bullish on this. Watch out. That's crazy. Has a tendency to rip everybody that gets involved in crazy. That applies with people and with stocks. TSM, hitting targets. Be careful. Retest the breakouts. If we don't hold it, come back down. Looks played out to me right now. It's funny. So I talked about this the other day, that to the economy, when prices get high, the economics 101, prices get high, demand tends to drop off because prices are high, and then prices correct when demand drops, and then demand picks back up. Now, stock market, opposite of that. When prices get high, demand gets higher, more people drawn like a moth to a flame to higher prices, and they want to get in, and that's exactly when it rips everybody. The price action happens the same, but the demand goes up as prices get higher. So it's a different mechanism, opposite to, and this is why the economy doesn't drive the stock market, because they work opposite. For a long time, I've tried to think of a way to explain that. I think I finally hit on it a couple weeks ago, or a week ago, whatever it was when I said that. So you got to be careful. Lots of people get interested in it right at the wrong time. And it's back to this. Back to this. We're all going to be rich. We're all going to be genius. I got to tell everybody. Then it does this and rips everybody's money. It's the psychology of a market cycle versus psychology of an economic cycle. Fear of missing out. I mean, we can call it anything we want to, but it's psychology of a market bubble. Got to tell everybody I know. Got a big belief. We just need to double down. We need to add some more money, and then crap, lost it all. All right. Leverage NVIDIA, RNAS, nasty reverse splits, FUTU. Dang. Rock and roll. Next upside target, 207 VRT. Grinding this gap down. We can get through it. Head on up to 170. BBJP. Japan popping. Lots of Japan stuff popping, but I don't think that's we're not cracking open a whole new rally there. Toll Brothers, first move down, retrace. Be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful on construction and home builders right now. The only thing that seems to have some positive notes are like Deere and Caterpillar, possibly Home Depot and Lowe's, but it's like Caterpillar looks like we're going out to 439. And if we get to that 439, possibly 450 area, golly, feels like something just went up my nose. Be careful. Like this could mark a top right there. Right, they sell construction equipment worldwide. Right now they're hitting, but watch out. It's not necessarily going to continue. DALN. Wow. Giant pop off of $4. 4x. BSX. Watch out for that to top out 110. Baba. Lower highs. Trying to grind through. Got these gap downs over here. It's like a danger zone, a reversal here. If we get back into it, watch out. I'm still bearish, looking for a bigger drop on Baba. DHR. Grinding under the roadmap line, not bullish. Nail. Getting into the roadmap line. This could indicate the top on home builders before we take a next spill down. AMD. I expect this to come back down, but I can just keep grinding out. If we break through the 618 resistance zone that we consolidated in all late last summer into the fall, we get back through that zone. We can go higher, 250 upside, but I'm not buying until there's some sort of pullback. That's just one giant rip off the low. Some people think they're a genius until we get a big correction. Be careful. SPXL, even though S&P is up here, this is still down here. Be careful. It doesn't have to break out, but we can just dip. SMR, we already talked about. PDD, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. This is Timu. Be careful. Now, this has a pattern to go higher, but it's just not like it's had this in place since last summer, but it is not shown any ability to follow through with anything except lower highs. NVDO grinding right here. You know, these NVIDIA leverage longs are underperforming. NVIDIA up here near the 1272 target, and these are hanging out down here way under all-time highs. FAS, cost of doing business, 8 those on the last dip. FAS, watch for this to drop back down. Those NVDU, those are prime examples. SPXL, prime examples why I say leverage stuff doesn't always follow the pattern on the big picture. FAS, I would expect a retrace. 1, 2, 3. Hold the roadmap line and then push on out. This is leverage, 3x leverage on financials. That's big financials. If you want to see what they're holding, you just roll down here, click the more about this fund button, go to holdings. You can see their exposure. They're kind of into Berk B, JPM, Visa, MasterCard, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, AXP, Charles Schwab, SPAGI. There you go. Decliners, FI. Breaking, pushing the limit here. Thought we might get down there. Look, I drew that fib line all the way down here. I'll be darned. I'll be darned. How did I know? So looking for this to hold here, turn back higher, break through the roadmap line, come up, break through the 618. If we can do all that, upside's up here. But if we don't, back down to the lows, possibly even lower low. Texas Instruments. Oh, back to the roadmap line. Oh, is this? The way that turned down, the way that rejected breaking out, I was concerned we might come back to the roadmap line. If we can hold here, sets us up for the bigger move up. SAP pushing down the roadmap line, mid P. Wow. Nice pop. Nice pop right there. Hey everybody, for those of you still here, you're kind of my core followers. One of my good friends last night went to the hospital. My neighbor down the street went to the hospital, potential heart attack. His wife called me right after the ambulance left and told me, she was kind of upset a little bit, but she was going to the hospital to be with him. And just keep in my mind, seeing the medical stuff. Just remind him. Yeah, hopefully he's okay. Haven't really gotten another update since she called me. That was like right after I got home at like 7 last night. I like pulled in and saw the ambulance and I was like, uh-oh. So yeah, just keep him in mind. His name is Donnie. Call him Big D. NXPI. Support right here. Resistance right here. Breaking higher. Otis. Elevators. And another indicator that construction not going so hot. HLT. Hilton Worldwide. That same failure to break out pattern. Watch for that retrace to the roadmap line. Now, people are traveling a lot, but be careful. Microchip, potential to retrace back to the roadmap line. If we do that test, hold, turn back higher. Very positive for microchip. CNI, watch out for that to dip on down, lower low, UXRP. Ooh, took a step back. XXRP, took a step back. XRPT, took a step back. MRAL. You want to get long, Mora? They're doing an offering today, but it's interesting. My copywriter was bringing up the point that as a condition of rolling out their private equity convertible note offering to 2032, they're closing out their 2026 notes and requiring, so people open shorts on Mara to cover the risk associated with the notes, the convertible notes. So they're requiring the shorts to close out for 2026, which can, if this plays out in the next few days, can cause Mara to shoot up. Be interesting. This is a kind of a technical reason. We may see this dip down to the roadmap line, technically, and then shoot higher on those shorts being forced to close out. Kind of interesting. AVGO. I have a big report I can post for Termite Trading Lab members. Well, not a big report. It's a couple pages. I had my AI agent break it down and explain what was happening. SOXX might come back down. On Simi might come back down. EMPH. Oh, there's the target just below us, down at 25. Boyle. And might be breaking lower, 27. Roblox. Dang, this thing. Coming up. That's another one of those crazy. Watch out for this to come back down again. Be careful. LSCC. I just have to take a look. I have to. What is their price to sales? 21. It's in the danger zone. It's not as crazy as I thought it might be. 21's dangerous, but not like 100. Like PLTR. LSCC. And that's kind of bearish. XRPT, SLON. Solana ETF took a step back too. ARHS. Set up for an entry. This, I don't like this one so much, but it is technically the pattern. Looking for 1013 on the upside. Statistics for this one, not a long history. ATNM. This one right here. There's the high. Here's the low. Here's the entry. Looking for $2. Low price stuff. Low price stuff. Stuff under $10 does not always follow the pattern. Why would I put it on the list? Because it's a valid pattern. All right, remove that. Here's the high. Here's the low. Here's the entry. Looking for 184 on the upside. 30 trades, 80 and 2.9. This is all the stuff I look for. A stock I've never heard of or never, I've looked at it before. Quest Diagnostics. They have an office right across the street. Check plus, check plus, check plus. This is medical stuff, but services to the healthcare industry. Probably going to shoot up to the target. I might consider buying a couple shares of this just to see. It's not huge upside, but it is high probability. Long time established upside. Usually when it dips, it pops up to the target. DGX. ED. I'll think about it. I mean, I'm not really looking for new stuff to get into at the moment, but bigger picture, that's what we need. The smaller swing. Played out with an entry. Looking for 106. I'm not sure if I love that or not. I would be watching the bigger swing. The filter filtered it out because of this dip right here. That's why you don't see it highlighting right here, is because of that dip. And 107. Has 40 trades, 82, not over 2. That's the only hang up for me right there. LQDA. High, low, entry right there, highlighted. Yep, 20.58. 2 trades, 100%, 0. So these statistics mean nothing. MO. This is actually on my bullish list right here. There's the high, here's the low. Pull it up through, and 62.80, 62.18 upside. In the small picture and bigger picture, I've got like 100 target on that one. REG. Not sure I'm keen on this pattern, but yeah, which high did it pick up? Probably that one. Yeah. 73.50. I don't like a flat roadmap line. There's no statistics that tell me that that's not, I mean, that's bad or not, but just not keen on it. And well, that one fired off. Here's the high, here's the low. Firing it off. 25 upside, looks like. It's almost there, too. Be careful on that one. Not the best statistics. TLK. JT, why don't you just filter these out to the best? Well, they're all okay. Like, they all have a 72% probability of working out. I just wouldn't take some of them, and for various reasons. 1886, for me personally. My personal risk tolerance. When they show a history of being negative, I don't like to get involved in that stuff, even though it shouldn't matter over the long term. VNO, but you have to take them all to cancel out the ones that underperform. That one right there, 42.78 upside, 41 check plus, 78 just check, 1.2 just check, standard win rate applies. Vornado Realty Trust, looking for 42.78 right there. All right, that's the list of potential entries for today. Rolling back up, looking at the potential. Oh, did we tag it? We got so close. No soup for you yet. Wow. So close. Oh, that's there we go. Clicked off the log mode. We're close to not log mode, but still got 30 points to go. Kind of still expecting the same thing. We may have small retraces, but I'm expecting this grind higher. I do expect it to hit it before the end of the month. So we got 8 days left. Kind of expect this to hit. And then we'll see what happens in August. Probably some sort of correction right there. Have a great day, everybody. Keep my buddy Donnie in mind. We'll see y'all later on.